Now it's time for Lefties losing it, and I think it's high time we checked in on the leader of the free world. Yes, him, POTUS, the man the media told you was cognitively sound and a decent and honest and competent commander-in-chief. You can now add dangerously delusional to President Joe Biden's long list of ailments.
I would have beaten Trump, could have beaten Trump, and I think that Kamala could have beaten Trump, would have beaten Trump.
Say what now? You could have beaten Trump? No amount of fortifying elections could have seen you beat Trump. And as we saw, Kamala didn't come close either. So why is the president saying that now? That's beyond me. Also beyond me is why he'd be uttering a sentence like this. Listen here as he speaks the California wildfire victims losing their homes before switching to his own personal news.
We got notification yesterday our home is probably burning down. Today, there's a lady still standing, I'm not sure. But the good news is, I'm a great-grandfather as of today.
Their homes are gone, but yay for me, I'm a great-grandfather. Everyone clap. And if you thought that was bad, listen here as the cognitive decline and compulsive lying combine to see the president claim with a straight face that illegal border crossings came down when he became president. This is next level lefty losing at lunacy.
Look, let's get something in mind about the border. When I became president, the numbers came way down, number one. Number two, we had a circumstance where I pushed very hard for a bipartisan agreement to put more people on the border, more Secret Service agents. And guess what? He's on the phone saying, don't do it, make me look bad.
Did he just claim to have put more Secret Service agents on the border? He is cooked, folks. The truth is that the numbers exploded to record highs during his presidency. The record numbers crossed illegally after Trump had overseen a sharp reduction in illegal entries. And let's not forget this statement from Biden after Jimmy Carter's death, where he used the occasion to, you guessed it, attack Donald Trump.
Thank you. President Trump to take from President Carter?
Decency. Everybody deserves a shot. Everybody. Can you imagine Jimmy walking by something and just keep walking?
This from a man who doesn't acknowledge his own granddaughter. His love child down in Arkansas, who Biden's to this day refused to acknowledge, whose mother had to take legal action just to get some financial support for her. This is a man who wants to lecture us about decency. Okay, but whatever you may say about old Joe, at least he's not Kamala. Here is the Veep and wannabe president giving these words of advice to the victims of Californian wildfires.
And so it's critically important that to the extent you can find anything that gives you an ability to be patient in this extremely dangerous and unprecedented crisis, that you do.
There you go. Basically amounts to sit down and calm down as authorities fail you again. Now, this time with the inauguration days away, one must not forget the lengths the leftist media went to cover up President Biden's and Vice President Harris's many deficiencies, though some of them are trying to rewrite history.
One of the things we also do in the year-end correspondence roundtable is dig into what was undercovered or underreported. Jan?
Undercovered, underreported. That would be, to me, Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that became undeniable in the televised debate.
At the presidential debate with Donald Trump.
Unquestioned. And, you know, it's starting to emerge now that his advisors kind of managed his limitations. It's been reported in the Wall Street Journal for 4 years, and yet he insisted that he could still run for president. We should have much more forcefully questioned whether he was fit for office there 4 years, which could have led to a primary for the Democrats. It could have changed the scope of the entire election.
It's starting to emerge now. It was obvious to anyone eyes and ears that the president could barely function. We ordered it here and we were attacked for it over and over again. Let me quote Congressman Byron Donalds, who had this to say for those in the media who have now decided to discuss Biden's mental condition. They decided to discuss it when it no longer mattered. They blamed it on a stutter. They blamed it on Russian disinfo. They blamed it on cheap fakes. They hit him at every opportunity. They scripted every public event. They denied the Her report findings. They sent him on vacation for 570 days. They brazenly lied to you for years. This could be the biggest presidential cover-up in American history, and the media defended it all until they got exposed at the debate. Don't let the media gaslight you. This story existed for years and they avoided it on purpose. Here, I couldn't have said it better myself. Every single word there is true. And one of the very worst in the media, Don Lemon, had this recent meltdown about MAGA. He seems to have forgotten that Donald Trump actually won the election in a landslide. I don't know, he thinks it's all fallen apart for MAGA.
You dumb idiots. Now you're just figuring this out. You're so stupid and you deserve it. You deserve it because you're so dumb. Jim, it's hypocrisy. So go with me here. Yes, I am gloating over your stupidity and how you were taken. I'm cackling in Kamala. You know what they're saying about the anti-immigrant stuff, right? Who's in to say that one of the jobs you might be seeking won't be those white jobs? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
It can only be a matter of time before the men in white coats come and take away to a nice padded room. Good luck. And here is Jim Acosta with a human potato, where they both, surprise, surprise, believe the Biden White House should be censoring free speech.
Meta has a lot of business before the U.S. government, and I think that's ultimately what this is all about.
Yeah, and he's complaining about the Biden administration, yelling at them to say, get some of this COVID misinformation off their platforms. I mean, isn't that's sort of what the White House should be doing, right?
Oh dear. Sticking with the media, here is 60 Minutes' Leslie Storm claiming the economy Trump is inheriting is great and trying again and again to get the CEO of JP Morgan Chase to criticise Donald Trump's policies.
He is inheriting a pretty good economy, despite what people feel, all these metrics that you see. But what about advice to him on some of the policies that he's threatening to do that could hurt the economy? For instance, tariffs. Have you talked to him about tariffs? If you could talk to him right now, what would you say?
I have not spoken about tariffs. I think you should read The Art of the Deal. He's a negotiator. He lays out some very tough things, and sometimes it works. We have to worry more about national security, resiliency, diversified supply chains, and we didn't. And also we should worry more about who it hurt. Tariffs are a tool, properly used, that can help get some of those issues resolved.
Oh, she wasn't done yet. She was going to try again.
Your relationship with him? Story, we all read that you called to congratulate him and he wouldn't take the call.
No, that wasn't true.
It wasn't true.
No, it wasn't true, Leslie. You should be used to that. Remember when she claimed to President Trump's face that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation, that there was no evidence of Joe Biden being the recipient of financial benefits from his son's business dealings? She also claimed there was no evidence that they spied on Donald Trump's campaign. Don't forget this.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
There's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is. It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? This is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify that.
It's been totally verified.
No.
And now that same journalist is upset that trust in the media is at historic lows. People do not trust these lefty activists masquerading as journalists. I'm shocked.
If you watch the opinion of us, how many people trust the press anymore? I mean, we're way down there with the lawyers.
Yeah.
This is really rough, as you know.
You're way down there with Congress.
Exactly. I mean, we're way down there with Congress, but we're way down there. And I despair. Seriously, I worry greatly, and I think there are other institutions that have been suffering. And you're right not to blame Donald Trump 100%, obviously, started many years before, but we're at a point where if the President of the United States is going to say legacy media is dead, well, I guess Musk said that. Legacy media is dead.
And he wants it dead. He wants other media.
But it is kind of, sort of, hobbling right now. And I don't know how it recovers. I'm very dark about it.
Ooh, she's very dark about it. Kids call that FAFO, F-A-F-O. Google it, Leslie. What you're saying is the consequences of your actions. Here is another grown man telling vulnerable kids that powerful drug irreversible surgeries are perfectly safe. Everything you're about to hear is a lie, a dangerous lie. And I've got to add, this clown is a TV host.
Gender affirming care in minors. First of all, puberty blockers. Puberty blockers are safe, and interestingly, puberty blockers are given to cisgender kids now when little girls or little boys experience precocious puberty, meaning puberty very early, around like 4, 5, 6, 7. They will be given puberty blockers to delay puberty, not prevent it, so that when they're closer to 12, 13, they can get off the puberty blockers and then puberty happens as typical. As far as long-term fertility issues, puberty blockers have no link to long-term fertility issues. And trans young people are not getting gender reassignment surgery. They're not getting top surgery. They're not getting bottom surgery until they are 17, 18, sometimes 16 for top surgery, but they have to have parental consent.
That's Queer Eye's Jonathan Van Ness, another celebrity gender propagandist who can't even stick to his own nonsense. He says kids aren't getting these top surgeries and bottom surgeries except when they're, 16? That's under 18 in my book, with parental consent, as if that makes it okay. And we're talking here about mutilating confused kids, removing healthy breasts at 16, perhaps a penis, and thinking it's justifiable. Goodness me. Now, I've saved the best for last. Have a look at these absolute simpletons, these leftist agitators who think a member of Hamas, an Islamist terror group, would be more LGBT friendly than a typical Trump supporter. Just when you think that the left can't get any more stupid, they go and surprise you.
Between these two choices, who would you say is more likely to be supportive of the LGBT community?
Oh, this dude.
Okay, why would you say that?
Because he's a brown person and he's not for Trump.
I think the fact that he's part of Hamas would stop him from supporting that community?
Not at all. Probably number one.
Number one?
Palestinian.
Why would you say that?
Because Trump supporters are typically anti-LGBT.
Do you think somebody that's a member of Hamas, would they support the LGBTQ community?
I'm not sure.
Number one? Okay, what makes you say that?
They just look kinder.
Kinder? Do you think that, somebody that's, say, a member of Hamas would be supportive of the gay community? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah.
Maybe him.
Number one?
He looks a little friendlier.
We've got plenty more Lefties Losing It content with my next guest, including some exciting developments for Judge Merchan. You know that guy. He oversaw Trump's sham trial in New York. But let's start with California, where you'd think they'd be focused on approving disaster relief, fixing their hopelessly inept fire response. But no, instead, they've just held a special session to prepare for Donald Trump, and they've approved a $25 million war chest for any potential legal battles with the Trump administration.
Despite several empty seats in the chamber because of the LA wildfires, the Democratic State Assembly gaveled into its special legislative session to prepare for incoming President Donald Trump.
I'd ask that you keep in mind
Governor Newsom called the special session shortly after the election. As fires raged in Southern California, state lawmakers still prioritized their anti-Trump work. They established a committee and set a hearing for the legislation that sets aside $25 million to prepare for legal battles with the incoming administration.
Of course, rainbow flags everywhere. Joining me now is Newsweek Senior Editor-at-Large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel, Josh Hammer. Josh, what can be done about California? And I do wonder whether this disastrous, inept fire response is going to act as a red pill for the state, for so many just voted Democrat without even thinking about it.
Well, Rita, great to be back with you. Happy 2025. You know, look, I would propose a trade to the country of Denmark, to the Kingdom of Denmark here. Why don't we trade you guys California, and in exchange, you give us back Greenland? Seems like a win-win from my perspective there. I mean, Donald Trump seems to really want Greenland. I mean, California has been going down the tubes for decades now, but it has really accelerated under Governor Gavin Newsom's tenure. He's the first governor in the entire history of the state of California. California became a state in the 1850s, and literally from then until the 2020 United States Census, California always gained seats in the representation in the U.S. Congress. This is the first time they lost seats. It happened under Gavin Newsom's tenure there. It's the highest cost of living in the state there. But look, as it pertains to this recent special session, Rita, he's been too busy Trump-proofing the state. He forgot to fireproof the state. I mean, look at what they've been doing in Sacramento. He forgot to put water in the water hydrants there. But no, in a media interview just a few days ago, now he says, oh, you know what? It's the local person's problem. They're going to figure it out there. It's a problem for the people on the spot. No, sir. You are the governor of the nation's largest state, the most populous state, the state that still has the largest GDP and so forth and so forth there. You are ultimately where the buck stops there. And I don't know what's going to happen to the state of California. I wish I could come on your program, Rita, and say to you that I think California is going to be red-pilled as a result of this. Maybe on the margins, but I would be remiss if I made a confident prediction that that state is going to start voting for Donald Trump and Republicans anytime soon. But even a marginal shift away from just being a totalitarian one-party state, I think would be something quite beneficial.
I think you're right. I think by the time they're going to go back to polls, this will sadly be forgotten, and much more. The fact that you've got a exodus of people. California is so blessed. It's the most beautiful state. You've got the beach, you've got the mountains, you've got everything going for you, and yet you've got people leaving in record numbers, going to states like Texas and Florida and Tennessee, Republican states, because it is so difficult to live there unless you're uber wealthy. Now, this is an important development. Incoming FBI Director Kash Patel has promised to investigate a progressive political consulting firm owned by Lauren Merchant, the daughter of Juan Merchant, the judge in Trump's hush money case. Here is Kash Patel on Fox News earlier.
I'm calling for the subpoenas to be issued to Judge Merchant's daughter's company, who made $15+ million from the illicit information pouring out of her father's courtroom. I want to know the bank records, because money doesn't lie. Yep. I want to know how deep it is and how much of it went to the family and how much of it is going to the family after this false conviction. And then we need to investigate the FEC actual violations that this judge and his family conducted, because he should never have been overseeing this trial to begin with, because of the illicit campaign money that was flowing through there, and the unconstitutional due process violations are only the beginning.
Josh, what do we know about the money she was able to raise? Is it true she used the case her father was overseeing in emails soliciting donations?
So first of all, this is exactly why Kash Patel is a perfect pick to lead the nation's FBI and to try to bring the FBI back to a modicum of respectability, because he cares about getting to the bottom of blatantly corrupt scandals, which the FBI has been ground zero of for the past 7, 8, 9 years, going back all the first Trump campaign in 2016. To your question, though, yes, 1,000 times yes. Lauren Merchant, she works for a company called Authentic Campaign. It is a Democratic Party aligned progressive fundraising vehicle. They distribute money to Democratic officials and left causes there. She was absolutely fundraising on a day job based on the fact that her daddy was to become the first judge to sentence a former and now soon to be president of the United States. Juan Merchant himself, by the way, let's not let him off the hook easily. It's not just his daughter. Juan Merchant himself donated $20 to the Biden-Harris campaign in 2020. Seems like a small sum, but the fact is he donated in the first place. He specifically earmarked that donation, incidentally, to the cause, get Trump. This guy never in a million years should have been on this case in the first case there. He had a million opportunities to recuse himself. He rejected it over and over and over again. He should have declared a mistrial after the Trump versus United States case at the United States Supreme Court in light of the presidential immunity decision there. He's done everything wrong since day one there, but ultimately he's an egomaniac. That's why he put in audio recording on sentencing day on Friday, because he wanted the history books, Rita, to remember that he was the first guy who sentence a former president of the United States. Unfortunate for Juan Merchan, this thing is going to get tossed on appeal ASAP. So this whole stupid convicted felon thing, unconditional discharge, let them get their day in the sun. It's going to last a matter of weeks, maybe even shorter than that.
I remember speaking to legal experts who observed some of this case, and they said it was an absolute sham. It was a travesty that this was happening in a first world nation, a sort of thing you'd expect to see in some sort of banana republic. Now, we've seen Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, do away with the leftist activists masquerading as fact checkers on sites like Facebook and Instagram. Zuckerberg pretending to be some sort of defender of free speech. Well, he is now that Americans have re-elected Trump, but should we trust him, Josh? Because when it mattered, he was complicit in censoring and suppressing free speech. He donated hundreds of millions of dollars of own money, I'd argue, to fortify the 2020 election. I don't trust this guy as far as I can throw him, but I'm seeing a lot of people be receptive to this backflip of his. What are your feelings about Meta and Zuckerberg in particular? Because I'm just feel like he just goes with whoever's holding power. If Kamala Harris had won, none of this would be happening.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget Mark Zuckerberg, to your point about using this kind of tongue-in-cheek euphemism about fortifying the 2020 election. He spent $400 million in so-called Zuckerbucks. He did probably more than any individual in the world, other than possibly George Soros himself, to tip that election to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So a little bit of a Johnny-come-lately thing here, I think, to put it mildly. Nonetheless, he is on this grand, elaborate mea culpa tour. It started this past August. He wrote this letter to Jim Jordan on House Judiciary Committee, finally fessing up for the first time to the fact that they censored COVID-19 information, censored the Hunter Biden laptop. Now he's doing Joe Rogan's podcast. He's flying to Mar-a-Lago. I'm not buying it. I'm with you. I don't think this guy is sincere whatsoever. I guess the only additional point I would make is, if he's actually making concrete changes, and he just made this guy Joel Kaplan, a former George W. Bush White House attorney, a longtime D.C. Republican. He is now the head of global affairs of Meta, if I have his title right there. So he's trying to position his company well for the second Donald Trump term. He's basically just trying to make sure that Donald Trump's antitrust cops don't start busting on Meta, forcing them to divest Instagram, WhatsApp, or the various others there. That's what's actually going on here. But as long as he's actually doing real steps to get free speech back, Facebook and Instagram. And to be clear, I have a distrust but still verify approach to this. I don't trust him for a second. But nonetheless, I guess let's take the progress.
Absolutely. It's a positive move. You look at the numbers of people who use Facebook every day, who use Instagram. If these changes are going to be implemented properly, then it is going to make a huge difference. But yeah, I do not trust Mark Zuckerberg, not yet. Now, the musical lineup for Donald Trump's inauguration has been revealed. We've got country music superstar Carrie Underwood taking part. The Village People, we know he loves the Village People, as well as a couple of Trump's favourites, country singer Lee Greenwood, opera singer Christopher Marchio. They're all going to be performing. Particularly excited, Josh, about Carrie Underwood, and it's pretty brave of her to do this. She is a mainstream star. She's a superstar, and we know how intolerant and far left the entertainment industry has become. So is she going to get some blowback over this?
Well, Rita, I'm actually a country music mega fan. That's basically all I listen to. So let me just real quick say that Toby Keith should have been here performing for Donald Trump on his second inauguration. He performed back in 2016, but unfortunately, Toby Keith sadly passed away, succumbed to stomach cancer, far too young, back in September 2023, so may his memory be a blessing. I am very happy that Carrie Underwood is performing here. I mean, she is an absolute megastar. I'll be honest with you, I had no idea that she was right-leaning. I had no idea what her politics were. She hasn't really previously revealed them at all here. You know, country music as an institution based in Nashville, Tennessee, it's still based in the South. Their fan base is still, by and large, right of center, the kind of people that are salt of the earth, go to church on Sundays. But you've had a lot of woke stuff still emerging from the country music industry. So between Carrie Underwood here, Jay Aldean, his hit "Try That" in a Small Town, his going on Tucker Carlson's old show on Fox News, you're starting some of the megastarrs kind of come home to their own fan base. And as a longtime country music diehard fan, I'm loving it.
I'm with you 100%, Josh. I'm a huge country fan too, and it's good to be reclaiming the genre from the pretenders.